Would you like to reach our film and TV review podcast audience? Do you have a product or service of interest to film and TV home consumers or followers of the entertainment industry? Have a film or show production to publicize? For affordable price plans for all budgets, get in touch and find out about our introductory advertising options. Reach our audience of film and TV viewers and visit our site contact page at filmandtvreview.com, or you can email us at business@filmandtvreview.com. Reach out today. Welcome to filmandtvreview.com. Catch the latest film, TV and streamed show reviews every week. The views and opinions expressed by the authors and those providing comments are theirs alone. They do not reflect the views, opinions or position of filmandtvreview.com or their respective parent companies or affiliates. Filmandtvreview.com makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information in this program and is for entertainment purposes only. Episodes may contain adult humor and language. For full terms and conditions, see filmandtvreview.com.
Hello there, and welcome to another monthly edition of Film and TV Review, where we go through the latest film and TV releases over the last month. I'm joined by our regular hosts, Richard, Alfonso, James, and Andrew, and quite a lot of releases in this last month. Amongst the big titles, Thunderbolts, Last of Us, obviously, Andor, Minecraft, Sinners, Black Mirror, and plenty more. So I think we'll just kick off with a big Marvel or much anticipated Marvel release. It's an interesting take on the group team up, and that was the Thunderbolts. This is a kind of like team up with some familiar faces from the previous franchises. Okay, I think we all saw this, and actually it's worth going to the cinema for. I think it did bring me out to go see that. So, Richard, do you want to start? What your general impression of Thunderbolts? And just give us just a little bit of a rundown of what the premise is with
Okay.
is it in Marvel right now? It's a
So
team up, isn't it now? Story.
yeah. And in a way, as usual, when you end the phase, well, officially, when you end the phase in the MCU, you should have a team up movie with a team or whatever. And this is the one. It is actually officially the end of phase 5 with this movie, Thunderbolts, with an asterisk. So the characters you said they were introduced in previous installments in this cinematic universe. Yes, that's true. Now that being said, it's clearly B characters from other movies and TV shows. You have Black Widow's sister, who is kind of the main character, played by Florence Pugh. Her father, who is also introduced in the Black Widow movie, played by David Harbour, Red Guardian. Probably the most famous of the group is Bucky, the Winter Soldier. And then you have some characters that I guess a lot of people have forgotten. I did forget about Ghost, who was like, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, in a way, some bad guy, not a really bad guy in Ant-Man 2, I believe. Who am I missing? Oh yeah, and you have also a guy introduced only in TV shows, kind of the new Captain America, kind of a crazy Captain America who go crazy because of the whole powers he got by becoming this new Captain America. And last but not least, a very important character in this movie, Taskmaster, who sorry, Taskmaster, who was also was the villain, one of the villains in the Black Widow movie. I don't know how much spoilers
Let's assume, because everyone who's probably wanted to watch it and like just wanted our take on that film, because it's quite
Okay,
something that I think is more interesting about what just happens in it rather than us skirting around it.
okay. So yeah, in a way, these guys kind of like other movies about losers and pseudo villains who actually become heroes. They don't like each other, and it's just for different circumstances that they have to band together, even if they at first I said they don't like each other, uh, and they have to face a greater enemy and become the heroes they were supposed to be somehow, although some of them, as I said, were not really good people in the first place, and all of them have their own past and own mistakes that they have to actually to face, and their own almost psychological issues. Because this movie, different from many MCU movies, is definitely going down and deep on the personal struggles that characters and pseudo heroes will have to face, and that's actually why I enjoyed the most, perhaps. Actually, but it's not all about CGI and big blockbuster scenes and like explosions every 5 minutes. I think there is a kind of more depth than we are used to. Even if we've seen some of the scenes before, especially in some TV shows of the 2000s, I may think about it. It's definitely a kind of the characters' struggles, and interesting because in a way, for what they have to become at the end of the movie, they definitely have to face their own demons to become something new, and I really appreciate that. They have to all to band together to face an enemy, and the guys that you wrote the movie, I think, chose the right enemy, the right villain from the comics. Kind of by choosing this villain, it helps develop the characters that we are meeting for the second time. So yeah, for that reason, I kind of liked this movie, but I understand that actually it's very different from the usual big blockbuster movie that you would expect during the summer. So maybe that's why it's not very performing at the box office. I don't know.
Yes. Anyway, okay, so this is an interesting film too with the Marvel where they are right now. I think for me, I think the short version, this is basically sounds like or the premise is like the Marvel version of the Suicide Squad, where they've got a kind of like the rejects almost of, or the B team of players of heroes who are coming together, not the best personality types, but trying to work together and
I
form a
think it's not.
team.
I think it's. I know it's the first thing that comes to mind, Suicide Squad or even Guardian of the Galaxy, but I think it's smarter. It's much smarter than the Suicide Squad, to be honest.
It's it's a kind of like
Not
what
smarter
is.
than the Suicide Squad. It's smarter
Oh,
than
I'll certainly.
Suicide
That's
Squad.
yeah.
I'll give
I'm
you
not
Oh
gonna
that.
put
yeah,
it
about
on
the
that.
2016 or 2015 or whatever. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
It's just the premise is that, but yeah, it is dealt a bit more. It's more of a existentialist kind of like look at where we are, what our purpose is, and definitely Florence Pugh seems to take center stage here, and she kind of carries it really well because she kind of becomes this kind of like centerpiece to how y- they would navigate their way through where that what their role is and given second chances and it's almost I don't know. It is. It feels like a not a big, huge stakes, but it's more like how what has happened and how they're trying to resolve working together. One of the key characters, obviously, is this new one called Bob, or at least known as a Sentry, who's a very super powered individual, and how he really has to be controlled. But I mean, the story is about just friendship. But it's odd. It's an odd. I don't know. It's difficult when trying to make something very new in this field, and at least it tackles it from a good angle. That's what I can say about that. But anyway,
What I meant that is it's trying to address an issue that a lot of people do actually have to face in their lives, which is in a way kind of depression and not believing in yourself, etc. It sounds maybe cliche and easy for a superhero movie, but in a way, I thought actually it was nice. And obviously, yes, you've seen it before. I'm thinking about Heroes, the TV show, or Stranger Things more recently, etc. But still, I like this take on a superhero movie. And honestly, when you compare to other MCU movies that are very dumb scenario scripts, etc., yeah, I appreciate the efforts, to be honest.
okay. James, how does this fall, this film in your eyes?
I thought it was fine. I mean, you guys are sort of making various comparisons. There's one film that it really reminds me of, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but have you ever heard of a 2012 film called The Avengers, or
No.
Avengers
No.
Assemble in the UK?
Well, that's the
Um,
UK
and
TV series, right?
I actually really think that's a lot of people, I think if you when you look at film polls and stuff now, people sort of go, oh, Infinity War was amazing, which it was. Endgame. But I really think the first Avengers film, you know, I think people will look back on it and go, oh, that was such a high point because it sort of broke the mold. It had never really been done before, the sort of crossover thing. And basically, every studio spent the next 10 years trying to copy it, basically, with the Dark Universe and all the various things DC. But everybody wanted an interconnected universe. And what really makes that film work is the characters that you've got and they come together and they're having these sort of conflicts because we know who the characters are. So Iron Man is very Tony Stark is very narcissistic, and you've got Steve Rogers, who's very much like sort of more modest, and they kind of clash. And it's about these individual characters coming together and working together, and that's done again here in Thunderbolts. And it's not a criticism of it; it's just an observation that is very kind of similar. I mean, Alfonso said in the chat about superhero fatigue. I don't. It's possibly that. I think the thing is, yeah, if this had come earlier, I'd be like, oh, it's really good. And I really like Black Widow. I think Florence Pugh and David Harbour are brilliant in this. I think they're really, really good. I think actually Sebastian Stan is always really good in these things. There is a use of music at one point which is really funny and is funnier than any of the 500 musical cues in Deadpool and Wolverine. Because I do feel in Deadpool and Wolverine you had this in Deadpool 1, right, you've got like the whole idea that it's an action film, a violent action film, but they're listening to George Michael's Careless Whisper, and that's kind of funny. And then the second one, they get Celine Dion to do an original song. By the end of Deadpool and Wolverine, I was fed up of every 5 minutes being another music cue going, you wouldn't expect this song, you wouldn't expect this song, you wouldn't expect this song. You go, no, I expect all these songs now. And actually, the moment when they they accidentally cue up a song in the car in Thunderbolts, it's really, really funny because they haven't been doing that. To Richard's point, I do like the mental health aspect to this, and I really like the fact that they feel confident enough not to undercut it with a joke. That's one of the things that I feel with Deadpool and Wolverine. They kind of, I love comedy, I really do, but I think you need to play the serious moments as serious. And here, there's a lot of really good jokes actually, but when they do the mental health stuff, they don't go, oh, and here's a cheeky one-liner. They actually follow through on that. I think the opening's brilliant. There's a really good stunt at the start, which apparently really was done by Florence Pugh. There's also like a top-down fight scene in a corridor early on, which is kind of almost silhouetted, and it really looks like a graphic novel, which is one of the things that you love about these movies back in the day is, oh, they actually bring it to life, you know. So I really like that in it. I like the fact it sounds like such a minor thing, right? But this hasn't always been the case. There's a moment where I looked at everyone and I was like, they've been fighting for ages and their faces are dirty. I know it's a really minor thing, but that's what it should be. Because so many times you watch these and it looks like they're just going to do like a fashion shoot, you know, everybody's fighting it. And I like the kind of subdued color palette in this. I like the fact that it's tonally coherent. And it also feels like, as someone who hasn't watched all the TV shows at this point, watched everything in the Infinity Saga and then has sort of lost it, I did not feel lost for a second. There is a reference to Captain America in this from the previous film. I did not see that film. I didn't need to see that film to understand everything that was going on in this film. And actually, where you said about Ghost being in Ant-Man 2, is like, of course she is, but I kind of forgot that. Like it, and I didn't need to know it. It works as a coherent film. The only the only minor thing I'd say, I think there are some of the things that I feel people are praising it for are like, oh, it's not absolutely terrible like all the other MCU stuff. It's like, but that shouldn't be the bar. Actually, it isn't terrible. It's and as you guys know, I went to watch this when I had a lot of other stuff to do, and I wasn't really in the headspace. It was lovely weather outside, and I didn't have time to finish it. And when I went back, I was like, with the time, I was like, this is fine. And even the end credit scenes feel like the right end credit scenes. They don't feel like, oh, we've cast this person or we're doing this. It feels good to me. So I kind of thought Fantastic Four would be the soft reboot point, that particularly because it was the start of Phase 6, that they would be setting that film up as we know that we've taken some wrong paths. Don't worry, you can start Fantastic Four and you can move forward. You can actually kind of start Thunderbolts. If you've not caught up with stuff, you can start Thunderbolts. Hopefully, Fantastic Four is going to be good, and then we'll get into Doomsday. So I think Marvel should be pretty happy with this. I don't really know what the box office has been like, but I think they should be pleased with it critically because, yeah, it's definitely one of the better. And I don't think it's one of the best superhero films. Like, I think it's probably not in my top 5 from this decade because there has been some really good stuff. It's been very far and few between. But it's a really strong step forward, I think, for Marvel.
Right. Hey, thanks. Next, a return of a very popular series based on the video game. That's The Last of Us. It's currently season 2 is showing. Second season has started and will come to its conclusion. Based on the second game, I'd like to live up to. Alfonso, Andrew, you saw The Last of Us. How are we finding it so far? And
Very dark, very grim. Very. You thought Thunderbolts was about depression and mental health. Wait until you see The Last of Us, because the first season was quite grim, but the second one, wow! I was. It goes from drama to more heavy drama, in my opinion. I mean, it has some action here and there that is very well done, very, very, amazing action and everything. But the drama itself, how it has developed along, with season 1, where it ended, where it starts now, and how it develops. Whew, it's heavy stuff for me.
yeah, but it is dark stuff, and of course you've got 2 main characters there, but there is certainly a refocusing now more on Ellie now, but there's quite a sharp U-turn, a left turn in this narrative. So I enjoyed the first season, and I almost felt it actually almost completed the arc of the characters in that first season. So I was a bit trepidation, embarking on this second season. Do I really enter it again? But like I said, the focus is more on on Ellie, and played by Bella Ramsey. Andrew, you you enjoying it and the reshifting of focus this season has now?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think what it was is that the first season was a lot more world building. You had a lot more. There's a lot of adaptation, expansion, and trying to get people familiar with this reality and this world of the series, at least, in a way that the game didn't touch on as much. Different formats. And then there was also one episode during the first season that focused on a couple of side characters. You didn't see much in the game. Do an episode on those characters, but this season's a lot more focused on, I guess, the main group of characters. Without trying to expand upon that, and yeah, it's pretty dark because you see a lot of stuff that humanity is capable of. You saw that during the first season, but humanity is capable of pretty dark things given circumstances, and it's not just the infected that they have to worry about, but also all these different groups of just non-infected humans who are just like, especially after the last episode, you realize like, yeah, there's a lot of really bad stuff to go all around. So, yeah, I think the performers are doing a decent job so far. We haven't seen as much of Jeffrey Wright so far. I mean, he's supposed to be on a little bit more this year, and I guess he's reprising the role that he had in the game. And then you also see Catherine O'Hara, and yeah, she's pretty good. You know, the times that we see her. So yeah, and I guess there's some other people who are supposed to reappear later this season. Won't really touch on that, but I like it so far. Again, it's an ongoing season, so you know, I'm not gonna judge it entirely until we get to the season finale. But people online notwithstanding, I think it's pretty decent. So
Yeah, I think one intriguing thread is the outbreak or the fungus itself seems to be evolving, and they've got hints that it is developing and changing and adapting in quite interesting ways.
right.
So see how that pans out. It's kind of intriguing thread, but yeah, been a bit of a split audience with certainly how the plot is going because what happens in the game. But I thought maybe that aspect they could have kept to the end. It's quite brave of the studio or the production to keep on track with what was in the game. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens at the end. But we'll come back to this, I think, when the season concludes. Right, next, another returning franchise, a popular one, in its second season and final season is from the Star Wars franchise, Andor, of course. Again, got a few episodes still to go, but well received the first one. A lot to live up to again. Richard, you've seen this. I've seen a few episodes as well. How are you finding this season?
Yeah.
Very expensive show, obviously,
Yeah.
famously. So,
And kind of similar to the season one, actually. My thoughts in general, yeah, are very similar to the season one. It's a very interesting show because when it was announced a few years ago, nobody believed in it, me included. And the first season actually had amazing reviews, which is quite saying something about a Star Wars show and any Star Wars movies or TV show from Disney nowadays. I think it's the only one, maybe with Mandalorian season one, to have great reviews. The first season, sorry, had first few episodes were very slow to introduce the main characters, etc. And then in the second half, things went crazy. I think we can talk about the first season in spoilers. I would definitely not talk about spoilers in the second one, but the first season I can talk about it. The first season was definitely, at first, it was about, as I said, the character of Andor and the people around him, families, girlfriend, whatever. And then the second half, even if you had already bits and pieces in the first half, the second half definitely focused on, through him, from the main character, the idea of rebellion and rebelling against the empire and understanding what it is like to live under a dictatorship at the galaxy level, let's say. And back at you, that even at the individual level, you can, if you want to, you can actually wake up and try to fight against tyranny, etc. So it's very, very much interesting in the second half in the first season, and it ended in a very high note. The second season is kind of similar so far, because there is still 3 episodes to be released. When we're recording this, actually, the 3 episodes will be released in the next 24 to 48 hours, and that's the final episodes. So far, it's kind of the same pattern. First 3 to 5 episodes are kind of slow, kind of reintroducing the characters or where they are now, because the second season is actually, if I'm not mistaken, is it like 3-4 years later or something like that? I
Yeah,
guess something
definitely.
like
It's
that.
countdown to
And then it's a
Rogue
countdown.
One.
Yeah, it's a countdown to, let's say, New Hope and Rogue One, because every arc, it's always like the first season, it's released by 3 episodes and it's an arc, and every arc is like first arc is 4 years before Rogue One, second arc 3 years, etc., which is kind of fun. Why is it fun? It's because obviously at first the first 2 arcs is slow because we are still a bit far from the big moment in the Star Wars timeline, which is the Battle of Yavin and the Death Star story, etc. But what I really appreciate in the writing of Tony Gilroy, even in the first season and the second season, is how actually, he put some clues here and there about how rebellion, but not as a movement, but also in the mind of more and more people, is growing in this galaxy. The idea of rebelling, the idea of not accepting the tyranny, and it keeps getting stronger and stronger as first arc, you go from one arc to another. And so no spoilers, but definitely in the third arc, it goes to a point of no return, let's say. And that's amazing. That's really cool because in a way, for anyone, not only for any Star Wars fan, and that's actually one of the strengths of this show, is that even for anyone actually who wants to watch a show about almost about politics or about because you can do actually, obviously, with what's happening in the world nowadays, you can definitely do some comparisons and analogies with what's happening in the world. If you want just to see how actually people struggling and who are actually facing actually tyranny on a daily basis, how actually they react, it is in the Star Wars timeline. This third act is definitely something that you always wanted to see. And you might have seen a bit in the Rebels TV animated series, but it's definitely well done here. And I can't wait to be honest with the final arc. And the good thing is that I'm already planning to watch Rogue One afterwards, because it's like back in the day when Rogue One was released. So many people straight away watched New Hope just because it was so well linked. I think there will be millions of people who's going to watch the final episode of this season of the series, and then Rogue One and New Hope, because it will look very complete for once. And surprisingly, this missing piece, I can't believe that I'm saying that, because who believed actually that a TV show about Cassian Andor would be a missing piece that I was looking for? This missing piece will fit perfectly in the Star Wars timeline. And that's the best thing I can say about anything that Disney has produced in the last 10 years. Because it felt, for the last 10 years, you think that it's unnecessary what they produced, or it's just bad, etc. Andor for me is the exception. I didn't like Mandalorian, but I'm one of the few. Andor is the exception. I keep saying actually that it is the only good thing produced by Disney and Lucasfilm.
Yeah, certainly. I think it does a lot of what's been missing a lot in a lot of the more recent Star Wars entries is the world building and the kind of fleshing out of, the politics, the system, the social system, motivations, and all that. Which, you know, I think the best episodes do a lot of the world building, and I know there's kind of it's a different tone to, this is not remind me of it's such a shift in tone from the, like the original movies or even the prequels, but it's I think for an audience that has actually grown up with it, I think they are appreciating all the foundation it's actually fleshing out, and kind of a political drama in its own right, or spy drama. It's good drama in its own right. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those episodes. I do. It's good to see some familiar faces, but yeah, I can see it's very bit kind of arching, several arches happening in this series, and with a bit of patience, from what I gather, it's quite a payoff anyway. Anyway, well, we'll probably come back to this when that show concludes. Next, a one of the big hitters this year in the cinema, at least, was an almost event basically.
May I say before I interrupt you, just while you present this next movie, this is for me a roller coaster of reaction. I'm going from Andor, which I love, to this new thing. Thank you very much to put Minecraft just after Andor. Thank you so much.
Well, Richard, you did see Minecraft, the movie. Jack Black, Jason Momoa, but I don't think the names are important here because I think it is the game itself, which it's almost like meme cinema. It's actually you're going to see a perfectly ported video game, which is basically does seem to be doing now really well, especially name recognition and fans who probably don't even go to the cinema that much, but play the game. Did great box office. Um, James and Richard, how was
If
Minecraft
James,
as a
if James,
film?
if James want to talk about the plot, be my
Yes,
guest. Be my
yeah,
guest.
yes. Give us a synopsis of Minecraft because
Yeah,
I've never seen
and
it,
good luck. And good luck.
but it must be great before the box office.
I'm a little bit old for Minecraft, but obviously I know that it's a very big thing. It has been maybe just after my generation and continues to be. Noticeably, this is called a Minecraft movie, not the Minecraft movie, and apparently the reason behind that is because Minecraft is sort of this thing where it's never ending, so there could be a million different movies that you could do of a Minecraft movie, and I'm sure we will see most of those a million Minecraft movies that will continue after we are all no longer on this mortal coil, because it has done very well, as Jason said. Not quite a billion, but it's sort of getting there. So it might even be. I mean, not much does a billion these days, anyway. I think it is still it's still in cinemas here. I'm not sure if there's been enough now to sort of take over. I think what you said, Jason's kind of right, that it's probably pulled people in that don't usually go to the cinema, which leaves me very conflicted because we want people going to the cinema, but some of the headlines have been around the chicken jockey incidents, which look hilarious on social media and are probably more entertaining than the film itself. But there is a part of me that thinks if I think that, then maybe there's a problem. Anyway, the plot is basically that
Yeah.
for misfits, ragtag misfits, they're everywhere. They get pulled into the overworld, and they have to get back home. And Steve, played by Jack Black, is the person to help them. I'll be honest, other than that, I understood very little about what was happening in this movie.
Yeah.
It really reminded me of going to see the Super Mario Brothers movie a couple of years ago, which that was my generation, and it's continued to be generations after. But I felt frustrated at that film that it was only Easter eggs. I think that film is just a bunch of Easter eggs. There isn't really a plot, and it kind of makes you realize that Mario is a perfect game because you never question the fact that the blocks float. But as soon as you put it into a narrative, suddenly there's a line about why the blocks float. And you think, well, I've never thought of that in 40 years. I think that the audience generally for a Minecraft movie are just going to see a lot of the things in there. So I saw it in a not very busy screening, but people were still cheering at various things that I didn't understand. I do like the fact that Steve's Lava Chicken 30-second song has become a top 10 single in the UK. It's kind of nuts. I mean, it was very colourful. To be honest, I think I went and got a McDonald's and saw the pictures and thought that would be a fun movie to watch. But it didn't. It wasn't really that it didn't hold my attention. It's that I didn't understand what was happening. So I've watched some videos on this, and people have said, "Oh, that thing that they do is very good because it's like an Easter egg and it's very faithful to that." That's great if you've played the game. As somebody who hasn't played the game, it made no sense to me. Like I say, the thing that worked for me about Thunderbolts is, as someone who hasn't really caught up, particularly with Phase 5 of the MCU, I sat through Thunderbolts and it made sense. I can't say the same about Minecraft. That's the fairest I can be about the movie. But I am really looking forward to hearing Richard's thoughts on the Minecraft movie.
I mean, okay. No, I'm not gonna do a rant. I mean,
Do one.
It's just, yeah. I mean, good for the guys who had the idea of make a movie about Minecraft that it's as great box office numbers, and good for them. They're gonna make a lot of money. And what do you want me to say? I mean, but a movie like this makes a lot of money. Sorry, it's a big problem to me, because it says a lot about our society. To be honest, I think we should all be upset about this. But anyway, I mean, there are a lot of video game adaptations nowadays. Some good, some bad. And if you want to compare with what's comparable with Minecraft, you mentioned Super Mario. Yes, fair enough. But at least Super Mario was trying to be fun for everyone, as you mentioned, because I never played Super Mario and I thought it was fun. He didn't spend 90% of the time trying to explain everything that was on screen. Minecraft was doing this. Minecraft, I think most of the dialogues are just Jack Black explaining, here, this thing is, no. It can do, no. Okay, cool. So I didn't know I was watching a tutorial about, or the intro of Minecraft. But yeah, and honestly, I'm guessing the paycheck for Jack Black and Jason Momoa must have been amazing, because they are not gonna get an Oscar for any of the movies they have made in their career, these guys, all right. But at least when they do movies, usually they actually take themselves seriously and they try to do their best in their own genre or with their own skills. Jack Black is a very funny guy. You can watch a lot of movies with Jack Black and have a laugh. And even movies that are really similar to Minecraft. I was thinking Jumanji. Jumanji was a very funny movie. It's exactly the same idea, by the way. It's very similar to Minecraft when you think about it. I'm pretty sure they got inspired by this. That's why they hired Jack Black. They say Jack Black is perfect. But Jumanji was hilarious. Here, Jack Black is not funny. How can you make a movie with Jack Black and Jack Black is not funny? At least you should have that for you when you make a movie. And Jack Black is not funny. I don't get it. Jason Momoa, in his recent career, if I want to do stereotypes, is either the big muscle guy, very strong guy, like the badass, or the guy who actually doesn't care what's going on because he's over everything else, and or I don't know, or as I said, he's just a strong guy who doesn't have many dialogues or whatever. Here they try to make Jason Momoa some kind of old nerd, and again a funny guy. And honestly, none of the jokes nothing funny about him works. None of them. And I laugh and I cry so easily in the movie theater. I didn't laugh 1 second. Well, actually, yes. As I said to James, I laughed at one English joke because I was the only one who understood it, because apparently nobody speaks English in my country. But it was a joke, a play on words that nobody got. But otherwise, it was a terrible movie. It's bad written. It's exactly what is wrong, as I say, with our society. It's just a bunch of studio executives around a table saying, okay, guys, Minecraft is the most played video game of all time, or one of the most well-played video game of all time. So let's make a movie with the name Minecraft. I don't care about the plot. I don't care who we hired. We just have to put everything about Minecraft that people love, people between 8 and 12 years old, I guess, and it will last 1 hour and a half, and it's gonna make money. That's all it is. That's all it is, and that's the problem. But yeah, well, good for them. We're gonna have 1,000 other movies like this. We're gonna have Fortnite movie. We're gonna have Call of Duty movies. We're gonna have GTA San Andreas movie or whatever. All the video games that are so big video game sellers, and that's the world we live in. What do you want to do?
Actually, Jason, Jason said that the similarity between the Seth Rogen show, The Studio, where in episode 1 there they get the rights to the Kool-Aid movie, seemed very apt that episode dropped just as Minecraft went, but the joke seemed less funny when it did really well. You're right about it. Can be that you've got lore, but there's also examples where there's no lore and it works. So the Lego movie really works, and nobody thought that would work. I will defend, and I have a lot, Rampage, based on an 80s arcade game with Dwayne Johnson, because there was no plot, there were elements, and they crafted a good story with some heart in it. The thing, actually, Jumanji is the other film I was thinking about, and I forgot to mention, because I had no expectation that the new Jumanji films would work. The first one that when they brought it back, remember the Robin Williams one? And I went to see a preview of it, expecting it to just be effects. And the reason it works is they spend just 10, 15 minutes setting up the characters enough so that you know about them, you care about them, and then they change and they can do all the crazy stuff. And it's funny, but you're invested in them. You just take the time to do that. And I thought with Minecraft, there would be something at the start that would just help me along as someone who doesn't know about it, just basic storytelling. And within 5 minutes, I thought, oh no, that I've been left out here. And fair enough, it's not for me. I'm not crying, but I was like, this doesn't explain to me what it is. It hits the ground running, which is great for the fans, but I was just like, I don't really understand the point of this. But I think there probably would have been a way to do it as a decent movie. Whether it would have done as well or better, I mean, Barbie did really well as well. That's an IP, but they did an original thing. They could have done something with this that had all those Easter eggs for the fans, but had like a sort of original story in it. But it just feels a bit. I mean, Jason Momoa I thought was having fun, but yeah, I didn't particularly laugh at any of it. And it is a weird character when you think about it. Yeah, he's kind of odd. Anyway, I won't be buying it on Blu-ray.
Okay, well, next, a more original movie from Ryan Coogler of Black Panther fame, and teams up with Michael B. Jordan in a kind of a historical horror story, which is getting great word of mouth from everyone I talk to. I will be trying to see this, but Alfonso and James, Richard, you've all seen this. Just give us a bit of premise, Alfonso, of Sinners.
Twins who come back from Chicago to their hometown down in the south of the United States in the 1920s or something like that, who want to open up like a club for some kind of black related music, soul, jazz, that kind of thing. And they have money from working with Al Capone, and they want to just be the rulers of their hometown, basically. But they have someone with them who suddenly attracts dark forces who threaten their new venture, their new club, in a way that's quite from dusk till dawn. And I like the film. It was a nice Hollywood, let's say, picture from Ryan Coogler, with good actors, charismatic actors, led by Michael B. Jordan as the twins. And there's like, well, basically vampires. It's like it's a vampire kind of film. So you have to survive an attack by vampires who really are after some people at this joint and really don't want to let them succeed. So it's about surviving the night, surviving these forces of evil who come after them. And it's kind of a mixture of between a period piece, an action piece, a horror piece. It's very well shot. It has very good cinematography, very nice scores and songs by Ludwig Göransson. And yeah, I mean, technically, you can feel that this is quality filmmaking. I thought it was a little bit also being there, done that. I mean, I have seen, this doesn't go very far in originality. You have seen vampires in so many other movies, and this, I don't know. It kind of has, like, it's cool. It's a cool film. It's well done, but it was a nice time at the movies. But I didn't say for me it was like so many people are hyping it and loving it sincerely, but I don't count myself in that team.
James, you share the thoughts? Are you as impressed as everyone seems to be?
Yeah, I will say actually, when I saw it the first time, I really liked it. But when I saw it the second time, I loved it. And I think it's very easy for people to advertise this. So when I first saw the trailer, I knew that Ryan Coogler was doing a film called Sinners, and you don't know what it's going to be. And it makes it look like, oh, it's a vampire movie, which it is. But it's sort of a vampire movie at the end more. And I think really it is a period piece, like it's a drama, really. And actually, the second time, I sort of it sounds silly. Sounds silly even saying this, but I forgot how much music was in it. And it's sort of like a musical that isn't a musical in a way where they don't burst into song like Mary Poppins, but there is music throughout the film, and there is different types of music. Um, the cinematography is just like top notch. It just looks amazing. It really, really does. On a big screen, it's definitely one I think to watch on the big screen. As Andrew's just said, the horror comes from other things, and I think that's the best. A lot of horror is like that. And it's obviously dealing with race. I think it's about 1932. It comes up at the start, and then there's kind of a flash forward. Please, whatever you do, don't leave as soon as it says Sinners. There is a mid-credit sequence, which is basically an epilogue, and people always leave, and you think you have missed like about 10. It's like 5-10 minutes in the middle, which is like the emotional ending to the film. There is also a post-credit sequence, which is more of a little Easter eggy thing. Yeah, the horror. I mean, with vampires and things. So I absolutely adore From Dusk Till Dawn, and it's one of my favorite films. And I sort of said that, but it's not the thing with From Dusk Till Dawn. Even though obviously that was advertised as a vampire movie, that is almost like two halves. That movie. So you think you're watching a Tarantino type film, and then it changes, it switches. There's an undercurrent of that going the whole way through, but it's more of a period piece, and there's that vampire stuff. I mean, I've heard some people say vampires aren't particularly scary in this, but are they ever? Like, it really, even in Nosferatu, the contortion stuff's quite creepy, but like vampires have never been something that make me scared. But there's a few jumps in this early on and things when you get some smash cuts. Michael B. Jordan's having a lot of fun. I do like a dual role. There's a seamless scene where they're kind of interacting. You kind of forget that it's the one actor. But although he's billed top because he's Michael B. Jordan, Miles Caton is probably almost the protagonist of this. So you've got a bit of the Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton Batman thing of like one person's billed top because they're a bigger star. But actually, I'd say Miles Caton's kind of the his character Sammy, the musician that they get into the blues club for opening night. It's kind of his story, I think, really, and they're not really the antagonists, the twins, but they're kind of maybe the characters that do other stuff. But yeah, it's really, I think everybody's great in the cast. Yeah, and it's good to see a film like this sort of doing quite well. But I think it is more of a drama. And there's certainly, when I watched it second time, there was little moments that I was getting into a bit more in some of the dialogue, rather than, I think the first time I was kind of just waiting for the vampires to show up, and it's done pretty well at the box office. There's been some stuff about how much money is it going to take. I think it's going to be one of those films that it'll be around for years. I don't know how many people will be going to rewatch Minecraft in 10 years, but I think this is probably one that will stay around. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Right. Next TV series in its 7th season. It's Black Mirror. It's Charlie Brooker's anthology series. Always water cooling moments with each season. James, Richard, you've caught up with this latest season. Any great highlight episodes that caught your eye or poked your interest in this one? Richard?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I don't know if actually we have the same episodes that we like with James, so it's interesting in this season anyway. Kind of like any other season for me in Black Mirror, it has great stuff and just filler episodes, which is surprising to be honest, because the point of Black Mirror, in my opinion, was always to do something original, something different. But sometimes a bit not upset, but I'm just saying, okay, that's it. And sometimes I am definitely glued to the screen and I'm literally either in tears or amazed by what I'm seeing. So this season was kind of like that. I'm looking right now just to remind me of what I've watched of the different episodes of that season. So again, not going to spoilers. For example, something that everyone knows that actually is going to happen in that season, there was one of the highlights in the marketing of this season was the fact that for the first time, there would be a sequel to another episode in that season, a sequel to the USS Callisto episode, which was really good from 1 or 2 years, from 1 season or 2 seasons ago. For example, this USS Callisto episode, I thought it was very underwhelming. It was okay to say at best, but nothing to talk about for ages. My highlights are 2 episodes out of the 6 that were released. 2 episodes that were very dramatic. And I shed a tear for both of them. So the first episode of season 7 is called Common People. It stars Rashida Jones from The Office and Parks and Recreation and other stuff, and Chris O'Dowd. Sorry for my pronunciation. And although, again, like any other Black Mirror episodes, it will talk about technology and the way we use technology for good or bad in a very near future. It's definitely more of a drama about a couple who's struggling with, first of all, a very almost terminal disease that affects the wife, played by Rashida Jones, and how they try to find a cure for whatever it costs, I would say. We're not going to spoilers too much. Whatever it costs, and it costs a lot of money for people who are actually in the middle class. and they have to compromise in a world where consumerism is king, let's say. And it's definitely, and that's why I like it so much, and that's why we love Black Mirror in general, is that because by using dystopia or using that kind of psychological plot, it definitely criticizes our own world. And this is one of those best episodes of Black Mirror when it criticizes the world we're living in right now. And no spoilers, but it's definitely not a happy ending. So even in a way better because it's very realistic. Yeah, I really recommend this one. And the second one I really enjoyed is I think the fifth one with Paul Giamatti.
Eulogy.
Eulogy, thank you. And this one is again using a bit of sci-fi technology. It's talking about again real stuff about real problems, let's say. And this way, and it's very original idea, but actually there would be a technology that can help you remember and almost relive somehow very far and memories of a very distant past of yours, and some things that either maybe you want to forget, you wanted to forget, or things that you want to remember, but actually it was so shocking or so important in your life that actually in a way you forgot actually how important it was. And in that case is the character of Paul Giamatti, who learns at the beginning of the episode, and I will talk not more about the twist at the end, but at the beginning of the episodes, he learns that I think it's an old flame of his when he was a student, like one of his first love has just passed away, and he's been asked about this person, what he wants to, if he wants to attend the funeral, and he wants to talk about this woman that he hasn't seen for like 20 years or so, whatever, or even 30 years. And if he remembers her, even her face, he remembers things about her, and he has difficulties to remember her. And through photos, pictures from that time in his life, because like in his 50s or 60s, and we're talking about early 20s, pictures that he's gonna, using this technology, he's gonna relive these moments through these pictures. It's gonna be very emotional for him, obviously, to walk down memory lane, let's say. But also, in obviously, like, again, very good Black Mirror episodes, you will identify to the main character, trying to understand actually what he's coming from. And yeah, it's a very, very well written episode. But so that's why I really liked it. Yeah. But and the others are really good, by the way. But just they didn't add any impact on me. That's all.
And James, any quickly highlight episodes for you?
Yeah, I actually thought the last couple, when I went through these, I think compared to the last couple of series that they've done, it was much more consistent. They're obviously a mixed bag. Even probably the weakest one with Peter Capaldi Plaything, I really liked the references to old video games of the 80s. That was obviously a very Charlie Brooker thing, and a lot of very British sort of stuff in there, which sort of reminded me of the channel when it was on Channel 4 back in the day. But yeah, I thought the USS Callister, I was like, do we need a sequel to this? Maybe the resolution, in a way, there's elements of the resolution that's similar to the first one, but I think it closes it off, and it's a really good, fun thing to go back to that universe. The two together are really good, and there's some really good performances in that. Richard has just disappeared before I can ask him to pronounce the name of the French title, but the second episode, here we
Bête
go.
Noire. Bête Noire.
Bête Noire, sorry. Okay, so I could have had a go at it. So, there's an element of kind of gaslighting in this episode, and it's turned out that there's actually two versions of this online. So depending on when you watch it, you might get one scene play out in a certain way, or everything might be inverted in that scene. So the whole point of that is about memory, in a sense. And then you can imagine that if two people would separately watch this show, they would then be having the same argument about was it that way or was it that way? And people go, no, it was definitely that way. So it's really clever that they put that in there as a little Easter egg. I really liked Hotel Reverie as well, which is quite a long one, but I thought it was probably the most different in a way because it's dealing with AI in films, and I just thought the performances in it, Issa Rae, were really, really good. Common People is very funny. It's very sort of classic Black Mirror, and Eulogy is probably the best of the lot. A very heartfelt one with Paul Giamatti. But yeah, I thought it was a really strong season, and probably the best one since season 4.
Okay, all right, thanks. Great. Next, which was a cinema release, The Amateur. It's with Rami Malek, I think, in the title role. It's like a spy, revenge, thriller genre. Something
Well, do you want me to
to
do the
maybe
plot,
we've seen
Jason?
before.
The plot
Sorry?
is his wife's killed and he wants revenge. There we go.
Yes, I was hoping it would be something a bit more, but I got the feeling it was exactly like that.
Do you
Yeah,
know
he-
what? Richard
he
will probably have a
has-
different view
No,
on
no,
this.
no, no. I couldn't say better way. It's that's the plot. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But
what new twist have they put to
the
this
twist, yeah, the twist
There is
is
no
that
twist. There is no
he's a
twist.
bit of a geek. He's a bit of a geek, and he's not really up to going and doing some John Wick business on these people. So he's going to kind of set traps in a slightly Jigsaw-esque way that people kind of end up just accidentally killing themselves by not giving themselves up. Look, I didn't hate this movie. Rami Malek is perfectly cast, by the way, actually, for this. It's not the best movie, but apparently there was talk about they were going to do this with Hugh Jackman. This film would not have
Hugh
worked with Hugh
Jackman.
Jackman. It's got to be someone like Rami Malek for that to work. You would just be like, with Hugh Jackman, you'd be like, get your claws out, man, and do these people. Don't be, So it's like it's less than 2 hours. It felt really like, I will say actually, it felt like a sort of early noughties thriller. And I didn't mind that. It's not a good thing, but I was like, oh yeah, I really love these early sort of like naughty thrillers. But this is 25 years too late to be cutting edge. So there's a bit where he's got some screens, and you're like, yeah, didn't Tom Cruise have this in Minority Report? This is a little bit Born light. It's sort of fine. It is what it is. It's only a 12A certificate as well, so it's quite accessible for everyone. It's kind of like an accessible action thriller. But it's about a month ago since I've seen it, and I've almost forgotten.
It's a Netflix movie. Honestly, that's how I called it. In
Yeah,
a bad way. In a bad way. It's actually, I'm surprised that this movie got the honors of being released in a movie theater. I'm sorry to say, but it's true. When you watch it, you think, okay, so I could have watched something like that staying at home, to be honest. But it's not bad. It's just completely forgettable. I mean, it's yeah, there's nothing much to talk about. I think he just was joking around saying it like, did you say cheap Jason Bourne? In a way, yeah, it's kind of a cheap Jason Bourne. He doesn't have any skills except that actually he's a smart guy, and that's it. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It's that kind of movie actually that you just want to spend some time in a movie theater, and you just pick the first movie that comes in the list and say, okay, I will take The Amateur, and that's how it is.
Right. Well, brings us to that's our last film of the evening. Till next time. See you then. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this film and TV Review.com episode. Catch the latest film and TV reviews, together with regular episode content from the world of film and TV every week. See you soon. Would you like to reach our film and TV review podcast audience? Do you have a product or service of interest to film and TV home consumers or followers of the entertainment industry? Have a film or show production to publicize? For affordable price plans for all budgets, get in touch and find out about our introductory advertising options. Reach our audience of film and TV viewers and visit our site contact page at filmandtvreview.com, or you can email us at business@filmandtvreview.com. Reach out today.